is precious, and we all have busy schedules. I know that some in the morning isn't always good for people. There's lots of suggestions on having meetings earlier, before 8:30, having evening meetings, and so we're going to next year try some alternate times to try to accommodate the many busy and varied schedules that we have in our school. But we thank you for being here this morning. And as you probably know, we have also, since the last Léman Exchange this year, we have started live streaming them with also the option for families to send in questions. So Paige is up here, and when we get to the questions and answers portion of this presentation, we will allow people that are also outside of this venue to be able to participate. So that's one way to involve more. We start with this lovely slide of just a small sprinkling of our staff, and really in honor, as you know, we celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week last week, and our teachers are our greatest value, certainly in our school, as they're the ones that are directly interacting with your children each year. We are lucky to have a talented group of teachers with a wide range of experiences. As you've heard before, many of our teachers, more than 80% of our teachers, have advanced degrees in their area of expertise. But also we have teachers that come from varied experiences, whether it's here in New York City, other schools in New York City, outside of New York City, and certainly internationally. It's also part of our strategic plan to continue to look for ways to retain and to attract high quality, high level teachers. Last year we had our lowest, we had I guess it would be our highest retention rate, our lowest loss, and we believe that that's because we're making a real effort to have competitive salaries, to offer lots of benefits to our teachers, and also a wonderful work environment. Of course, as in any school, transitions will happen. People change lifestyles, with teachers being a large percentage women. That's nationwide. 70% of teachers are still women. Lifestyle changes, family, adding to their families. We'll always have transition, but our goal is to retain our talent here at Léman. For anyone who's new at the Léman Exchange, you know that the goal here is really to increase communication, to provide an update on what's happening in the school, and really allow a venue for families to have another way to ask questions, to hear what other families are thinking about, but really it's about communication. Today's discussion will talk a little bit about just a high-end overview of how the year has gone, school status, and also after I speak, Daniel Cruz, who's our Educational Technology Coordinator, he started with us this year, has really pushed us forward in our thinking and in our approach to technology. So I'm excited for you to hear what he has to say, and then the LCA will do a brief announcement, and then we'll open it up to questions and answer as many of those questions as we can. We always start with our mission statement, so I put that up there. I'm not going to read it because that's really what drives everything that we do here. It's about a rigorous education. It's about the diverse international community we have. It's about developing critical thinkers and really preparing students for the future, because that's what school is about. So when we think about preparing for the future, we always start at the end. And this is just, again, a small sample of our graduating class this year. You will note that there's a variety of universities that students are going to. Certainly some of the top universities are Brown University, Swarthmore, Barnard College, but also some of the smaller liberal arts colleges such as Kenyon College, as well as some of the specialized schools such as Juilliard. And then we are seeing more and more students interested in going overseas, such as NYU Abu Dhabi, or some of the schools in the UK. There will be, as you've seen, we've done profiles, and unfortunately we can't profile every student, although that would be our goal, to be able to share every student's story. But there is always also the link to the full college acceptance list, and that will continue. But one of the things we do each year is we survey our seniors to really ask them about the college process. It helps us to continue to grow and improve, to hear their thoughts about the college process and how it's been for them. These are some of the results that have come out of this year's service. That 80% of the students feel like they have gotten into or will be attending one of the top 3 colleges of their choice. More than 70% of the students have participated in internships, which they believe and we know have helped them in that college process to help them stand out. And again, just some of the examples of the internships students participated in: Manhattan Borough President's Office, Columbia University Department of Pathology, Marie Claire magazine, as well as students, as you've seen in other communications, participating in internships at local hospitals such as Sloan Kettering, New York Presbyterian, and others. And also, more than 60% of our students are participating in academic summer programs. Many of them, some of them are funded through our summer internship scholarship program. Many are helped organized through our college counseling department or through department chairs in a variety of departments. And again, just some of them. Some of the students have gone to Oxbridge, Harvard, RISB, Rhode Island School of Design, King's College in London. You've seen in some of our profiles, we've had a couple of students who have been at Stanford University in the summer for a couple of years, and again, some of the other local places here. As you know, this is also IB exam time, and in many schools, seniors are coasting at this point of the year. They've accepted into their colleges and universities, and they're just finishing out a years. But here at an IB World School, students, our seniors, are working really hard right to the bitter end. They are in the midst of their exams. We are so excited about the results that we have achieved thus far, and we'll look forward to receiving the results on our IB exams this year in July, and we'll share those out next year at our first Léman Exchange. But students are in the midst of exam. 100% of our students, all of our seniors, are taking at least some IB exams. All of our students take at least the math IB exam, which is quite rigorous, and the language arts IB. And then about 55% of the senior class do the full IB, which is quite a rigorous program. You've heard about it, so I won't go in depth about that, but that's quite impressive. But on top of that, all of our seniors have also participated in the extended essay and have had to complete a 4,000-word essay on a topic of their choice. They work with an academic advisor, a faculty advisor here at this school. And here, you know, Lucy Alexander, who is our director of IB programming, sent us a list of the extended essay topics this year. And we just picked out 3 random ones. I'm not going to read them, but I want you to take a minute to read about what are the topics that students are exploring in their extended essay to better understand the rigor of the program and the type of work students are doing and why they feel so well prepared for colleges. So take a minute to read those 3 topics that were just chosen randomly from our seniors this year. So just take a moment to talk to the person next to you. What does that make you think about? What do you notice? What do you think about our students? If these are the topics that they're choosing to write about in their extended essay, what must they need to know? What are they thinking about as they go out into the world? And how is this preparing them for the future? So just take a minute to talk to the person next to you. Okay, finish up your thought. Anyone like to share what they heard from their partner or what they shared themselves? Yes. And the topics they're picking is evidence that what the IB is about, and one of their criteria about looking at everything from a local and a global context is really shown here in these examples. Other thoughts? Pilar? Well, it is impressive not only when you see the topics, when you read their essays, and you hear the students talk about their essays, even more impressive. Any other thoughts? Hassan, did you have a thought? We can probably get you a copy of that.
Sure. I was just going to say this is college level writing. This is the kind of stuff I'm probably grading right now, and high school students are writing, so it's impressive.
And that's why, and remember, they start these essays in 11th grade. Our current 11th graders are starting to think about their topics now and work on their topics. They work on them over the summer. I see Brigitte, one of our English teachers here, and she's helped students with many of these essays. But I think that's why we hear from students when they come back from their first year of university, how well prepared they feel, and how they feel, which isn't often the case for a freshman in university, how they feel like their first year was certainly manageable. And so when we think about future prepared, we're preparing them to move on beyond Léman. So when we think about that kind of work, we think about continuing to be learners, whether it's alumni, whether it's current students, whether it's our own staff here. And again, just a couple of examples. We all know Coco Ma. She entertained us so well, beautifully the last few years here at Léman on the piano, and she's at Yale now studying. But not only is she a concert pianist, she just published her first book. And I just looked it up the other day also, and it was rated on Goodreads, which doesn't rate all books, and it received 4.5 stars as a young adult novel. So quite impressive with Coco. And so while she was here at Léman and going to Juilliard Pre-Collegiate and doing the full IB and taking extra writing courses as she started to write this book while she was still here at Léman. So quite impressive. Our teacher, Jennifer Belcher, we all know third grade teacher. She's done so much here at the school. She's just received one of the innovative grants here by creating libraries for all the classrooms on diverse families. She was also published in Scholastic by writing an article about kindness and empathy. We have Jordan Patan, 8th grade student, French horn player who plays in our band, takes lessons here, and he was one of 20 students from New York City that was invited to play at the New York Pops Carnegie Hall. And I know Lisa Nowicki, who's standing over here, unfortunately she's hurt her back, but was there to see him perform, which was quite impressive. Larissa Lucen, 9th grader, was a finalist at the Urban World Teen Poetry, again, out of thousands of entries. She was chosen as a finalist there and participated. And then our own Dr. Mariah and Dr. Colpitz here, who just recently finished their doctorates, and that adds to our community. Dr. Colpitz, as you've read in communication, we'll talk a little bit more about that, has had a focus on security preparedness, and he is going to be facilitating security at the school here, and so his continued learning is adding to our school community. And certainly Dr. Mariah receiving his doctorate from Penn with a focus on literacy, as we know, continues to help continue to grow our lower school. So it's about continuous learning here at Léman. And then some of the highlights this year and the accolades. Many of you know that we participated from 5th grade and middle school in the NOADIC Math National, and we received honor roll distinction for 5 students, which means that they were in the top 10% in the nation, so we were really proud about that. We had 11 students who won awards for Scholastic Arts and Writing Awards. Our ESOL championship, our sports program has grown tremendously. And I'm going to read this because I don't want to miss anyone. But just this year alone in the International School Athletic League, we had the boys varsity soccer champions, the girls varsity champions, varsity soccer champions, the boys varsity swimming champions, the girls varsity swimming champions, the girls varsity softball champions, all won the championships in our league, and the boys varsity volleyball championship not only won in the ESOL League, last night they won the championship at the PSAA League, and this weekend they go to NICIS to play in the championship for those leagues. So we're really continue to grow in our sports. Our fifth graders won, the fifth grade band won the Gold Award at NISMA. We know about the innovation grant of the Grow Garden, and our science teacher, along with our chef Susie, have worked to have this grow, and it's teaching students about healthy eating, about local growing, and also about sustainability in the world. So it moves beyond, again, the local to the global. You're going to hear a lot from Daniel Cruz today about how technology is used at our school, starting with our youngest learners in our Wonder Lab, all the way up to computer science in the high school. And we continue to be involved in service, and you've seen a lot of that this year with our focus on water around the world, but also with Rise for Hunger, which has become a staple for us here at the school. And again this year, packing more than 27,000 meals for our local community. And then, you know, we hear very much what's happening in our own child's classroom. We don't always hear about what's happening in other classrooms and other divisions. So again, just a smattering of some of the things that are going on. Our pre-K3 did a neighborhood listening tour where they traveled around this local community and listened to the sounds as they're studying census of the city. And you know, I like to tell the story. My grandson lives out in the suburbs in Pennsylvania, and when he comes to New York, he always says to me, "Nona, these are the city sounds," and it's so new to him. But for our children, it's what their community is, and to understand all the sounds and noises of the city. Our IB students in science were doing data collection at Coney Island. Our 8th graders just returned from a fabulous trip to Washington, D.C. Our 7th graders were in Boston. Thank you to Eric for helping to plan all of those. We had authors visits this year. Tish Robb, with children's book author, was here, as well as Brian Collins. We'll continue to bring those in, and how inspiring they are for student readers and writers, and growing those students, readers, writers, and illustrators. We had our Upper School Film Festival, and if you haven't attended that ever, I would recommend next year coming to our film festival. Some of the films are as innovative and provocative and thought-provoking as the film festival in Tribeca. I'm really impressed by the quality of our students, and the judges that are coming in, which are usually local New York film critics and people in the film industry, are always come to me to say how impressed they are with the students. So certainly worth coming to see. Our 2nd graders just celebrated Immigration Day, and also our students in the high school that are studying New York history came to work with them about that, because they've been traveling around the city and history. So it's just some of the things that are happening here with instruction. And also, you received the communication about leadership announcements. We hired Maria Sweeney as the director of curriculum, and some people might ask, why are we hiring a director of curriculum now? Well, first of all, our school continues to grow and evolve. We continue to offer more courses. We want to make sure that we're aligned. We want to make sure that our approaches to teaching and learning for the IB start in pre-K and travel through the high school. Of course, our directors and our division leaders are instructional leaders, and they will continue to work together and be those instructional leaders. And Maria will help to continue to work together to make sure of alignment, of assessment. There's going to be a real focus on formalizing our internship program so that we can offer more internships to students as they're in their 9th and 10th grade before going into the full IB program. There'll also be a focus on assessment, on math instruction, and so we're excited to have her. We do know that with Kate's departure next year, since she's had a strong background in early child education and she's been a principal and a head of school, she will help us lead the Early Childhood Center as we start a full search for a new director of early childhood. Lakia Burrell, many of you know that she's been an ESOL teacher here for 4 years, but she has 13 years of teaching experience. She will be our diversity coordinator next year. As you know, we are a diverse international school. We live in a diverse city, and certainly what's going on in society. To look at at diversity in a variety of ways. Certainly racial diversity, gender diversity, cultural diversity, thinking diversity, sexual preference diversity, all of those things are on our students' mind. They come up every day. Having been in education for 30 years, I've had more discussions about equity in the last 2 years than I've had in my whole career. And so it's something that is, out in the media, it's out in society, and we need to be prepared to have those discussions with our students. So Lakia will be working with me and the division leaders and the directors to ensure that we always have an eye on there. How are we being equitable in our sports? How are we being, equitable in our use of the bathrooms? How are we being equitable in our social studies curriculum? And she will help us and work with the director of curriculum and myself to make sure that we are on top of that and providing our students with all the information they need to be future prepared. And then, as I said before, Dr. Matt Kolpitz, as you remember, last year we did a whole security assessment, both by an outside consultant as well as the local authorities here. They made a variety of minor recommendations, but certainly anything that was able to be put in place immediately, we did do those. We also now have a safety and security committee that involves staff and parents on it that Matt has been running this year, and starting next year he will be overseeing all of the security at our school and working closely with me. We already have some plans for other implementations that we want to do with certainly visitor management and some facilities. He'll be working with Geo on that, and so you'll be getting an update with that. But just like diversity and curriculum, as we get bigger, it's also important to have some focus in those areas and to make sure that I'm working closely with these directors so that we can ensure our school is safe. We are up to date on what we need related to diversity and equity and inclusion, and also obviously our curriculum, which is most important. So I'm going to end there. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel to talk a little bit about ed tech and what that means for our students and for their thinking. And again, what does it mean for them being prepared to go out in the world beyond Léman? And I know you'll be quite impressed. And then we'll open it up to questions for anything that I shared, anything that Daniel shares, or anything that's on your mind.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Léman Exchange. I'm very happy to be here, and I want to also welcome those who join us on the live stream. I also know that my mom is watching in Colombia, so I want to say hi, Mom. And I'm very happy to be here. As I said, I've had the great privilege to work with your children at the different divisions here at Léman Manhattan Preparatory School, at the CEC, at the lower school, and in the upper school. And I act mainly as a facilitator in their journey to use technology to support their learning, basically. So I'm here to help teachers to make that path a little bit more open, sometimes to help them find a path, build a path. So I have multiple functions, and hopefully after these presentations you will have a clear idea of what I do and how I do it, with the aid, of course, of each and every teacher and administrator at the school, of course. So as you know, here at Léman Manhattan, we educate, we empower and inspire our students. We want them to be independent thinkers and critical thinkers. And of course, we have these attributes here on the right. 10 of those attributes are the IB Learner Profile attributes. And the 2 attributes on the bottom are unique attributes that we value here at Léman. So hopefully throughout the presentation, you'll see how we try to bring all those, incorporate those attributes in everything we do with technology. We try to motivate, we try to encourage our students to get there, and hopefully when they leave us for college or for life in general, when they graduate, you're going to see how all these attributes are part of their identity and their personalities. So yeah, let me start with the CEC, with the Center for Early Childhood Education. As you know, we have the Wonder Lab. The Wonder Lab is a space of exploration or of playful learning, where many things happen. We have different educational tools. We have different programs. I see the students regularly. We meet for 30 to 45-minute sessions. And we try to bring elements of surprise, of collaboration, storytelling, and we try to do things that they don't see every day. That's why I try to surprise them with new technologies, with new practices, and they enjoy it, they like it, and you're going to see images. I'm going to try to illustrate the way they feel in the Wonder Lab. So allow me to show you this first video. This is a kindergarten group, pre-K4, and we are bringing fruits and objects from everyday life to control computers and to try to use computers in new and innovative ways. We need sound, Judy, please. Nice. So, as you can see, those smiles and the faces they make and the way they react when I bring all these things to the Wonder Lab are amazing. When we try to take pictures using a banana, we're controlling the computer with a banana. That is something to them. It's something really new, really interesting. And if you think it this way, when you're trying to be creative, when you're trying to innovate, sometimes you have to think outside that box, right? You have to find solutions in places where normally you wouldn't look. So that's what we're trying to do with these groups. We're trying to show them tools. We're trying to present these new activities with things that are like out of the ordinary, to surprise them and to help them imagining new worlds, new solutions. What is this? All right, this is a kindergarten, it's a session with kindergartners mentoring the pre-K2s. So we have 2-year-olds coming into a room full of 5-year-olds, and we're making houses and artifacts made with cardboard, batteries, glue, tape, motors, and all those things. So you have mentorship, you have creative thinking, you have lots of questions, you have, of course, collaboration, but we also have this. Caring and empathy. That's amazing. And again, if you want to become a problem solver, if you want to innovate, if you want to develop, if you want to create, you have to be empathetic. You have to put yourselves in the shoes of the person that you're trying to help. You're trying to put yourself in the person that is in need. And that's what we're trying to do with all these activities. And when I say we, it's the teachers and everyone here that support this initiative. We build stuff. This is a flying saucer, and the activities are pretty engaging.
9, 10,
Let's see how long it'll stay on here.
13, 14.
Let's see if it's
15,
13
ready?
right.
Up and away!
So you know when the classroom, when the Wonder Lab is noisy and you hear all these sounds, you know that you're doing a good job. So this type of equipment here is color-coded. We're building stuff playing. We don't sit down and say, okay, let's build this. We sort of like explore the tools. Everything is color-coded, and we create and we design these activities based on playful learning. So the activity that followed this, as you saw, there's this thing rotating on top. So the activity that came after that, we attached a little bit of cardboard. We put this device in a box. We made it spin, so the cardboard is spinning, and then we start squeezing paint, and we created spin art. So there's elements of art, there's elements of so many things incorporated in these activities, but we're having fun. That's the key. We're showing them all these tools, all the things they can do by having fun, and that's the part I love. Some of the sessions run parallel to what they're learning. In this particular session here, they were learning about the human senses. So I thought it would be a great idea to bring a little bit of robots that have touch sensors, sound sensors, light sensors. So we learned that machines can also interact with the world around us. Just need to catch up with my notes. All right. What else? Yep, of course we do have iPads. We tend to have iPads only when they have a purpose. And in this case, we're using the iPads to control the robots. Occasionally, we bring iPads to show them interactive stories. One of those stories that depends where you tap. It takes you to a different sort of like destination. You can have different routes. That's when we use iPads, when it's truly meaningful, when it's active, and when they are fully in control of whatever activity they are developing. Again, we build things. This is a sketch machine. 7, 8, 9, 10, and it was great. It managed to stay like that for 10 seconds, so that was a great achievement. And there is this is the final work of art that we produced. And there was a lot of collaboration, there was a lot of excitement, but there was also frustration. As you can see, Leah is very frustrated because the machine is not staying, is not drawing, is not moving. She's like, and we learned to deal with frustration, and that's okay. And it's, at the end, we managed to make it work, but this is part of what happens, and this is something that we need to get used to deal with things not happening as we want it to happen, right? Dealing with frustration is a very important aspect of learning. What else? All right, principles of coding. We have problem solving, following instructions, and learning how to sort of like channel that feeling of a job well done. You know, when you complete a task that you feel like that energy inside of you. So we're implementing all these coding concepts. We're using this little mouse, and you have to guide the mouse through the maze to get to the cheese by giving them left, right, forward, backward instructions. So you have to repeat the process until you might manage to accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. So we're not telling them, okay, today we're going to code. We're saying, okay, today this is the activity that we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. And we, of course, demonstrate our demeanor, our body language, and the language of the teachers, and my own body language and the way that I approach these activities is also giving the students an idea of how to approach these issues, these problems, these situations where you need to solve problems. All right, so at Léman, we believe that responsive interactions between adults and children are essential to early brain development, to cognitive, social, emotional, physical, and linguistic development. And we do believe that technology of any type of media, when it's passive, when it's not active, it's not fulfilling a purpose. It has to be active, it has to be engaging. So that's what we try to support and promote. And how do we do that? We have to be in constant professional development. We visit schools around the city. We attend conferences. We try to stay on top of new technologies, and we discuss it with the team, with the teachers. We present it. We have meaningful conversations. Most of this is teamwork. It's not just me coming with these great ideas, okay, we're going to do this. It's like having these conversations with teachers. They approach me, they say, oh, I want to do this project. How do you think we could incorporate aspects of technology into these projects? And that's how we work it out. It's constant conversation. It happens over lunch. They approach them or they approach me. It's very dynamic, but we have to always be open-minded and be willing to learn and educate ourselves. In the lower school, for those parents who attended the meeting last week, you're going to see some of the images we presented last week, but yeah, this is one step more in the path our students follow. And in the lower school, we have, actually in technology in general, you have two different philosophies. One is embedding technology in instruction, and the other one is teaching technology as an independent subject. And both are valid. Both are completely valid. And we try to use both those schools of thoughts. We try to embed technology when we can, and we try to teach it separately as a separate subject when we can and when it's purposeful and effective. All right, this is one of our signature programs. This is a new approach to digital citizenship instruction. Digital citizenship is the quality of habits, actions, and consumption patterns that we have online, that we have with when we use digital tools and we use the internet. So what we've developed this year with our school psychologist is trying to approach digital citizenship from a holistic point of view, incorporating social emotional into the instruction of digital citizenship. It's not anymore the technology teacher instructing the students what to do or not what to do online or using their digital tools. It's more like how the tools that we are using potentially impact our lives, our family, our society, our lives in general. And we had the opportunity to present last month at the nicest Teaching with Technology conference. This is honestly a new approach to digital citizenship, and we believe it's the right way of doing it. When you have an English teacher using computers, or when you have an art teacher using computers or technology, and issues with cyberbullying or copyright infringement appear, that teacher, in my opinion, should be able to instruct all these key concepts of digital citizenship. In terms of applications, this is a very key aspect of our education. These days, there's an app for everything, right? If you want to do something, there's an app. If you want to be happier, there's an app. If you want to be faster, there's an app. So what's happening these days is that developers are incorporating layers of old pedagogical, antiquated pedagogies or curriculum to games. So they have a game or something that looks very fancy and is very colorful and it has this cool music, and they call it an educational app. And it's promoting old ways of doing things, of learning, and some students don't feel comfortable with that. So that's why we curate the applications that we have. We have applications like Splash Math, we have CISO, and we have all these things that we've really that we know how they promote learning and how they facilitate certain aspects of education. And let me give you an example. Oh wait, yeah. When you're choosing an application, of course, that's one of the things you do. The second thing is you have to know the way our students and this generation operates. And there are many studies that address this topic, but in my opinion, one of the most complete studies about youth and youth using digital tools for learning is this study from the MacArthur Foundation and MIT. They really dig deep into how our new generation of digital natives are using technology. So we know that they participate in this shared culture, and everything they do nowadays is shared. And sometimes we struggle understanding that. Everything has to be shared, everything, the texting, the whatever, all these interactions they have online are shared and open. And sometimes it's like perhaps too open from our point of view. So we need to know how they operate. So we need to understand that there's levels of intensity and levels of commitment, the way they use the digital tools. We know that there's the hanging out, you know, that there's the geeking out and the messing around. And all of them have different levels of intensity. The hanging out is more like informal texting, chatting. It's very sometimes superficial, fast, nothing stays. The messing around is them jumping from content to content. Like really, it looks like they have no purpose. They just like entertaining themselves from one video to the next and from one page to the other. And when they're geeking out, they just dive in and they start like exploring all these tools, and they become almost obsessed with these channels and with these materials and all that. When we understand how they operate, we can choose the right tools. So this is CISO. I don't know how familiar you're with CISO. CISO is a platform that allows teachers and students to create digital portfolios. And what it does, it has here on the right, it has that social media looking, it has that feel, right, that the social media platforms have, but also allows them to document their progress. This particular example is used by first graders to document reading fluency and the way they can, their ability to retell stories.
What is this book mostly about?
The book is mostly about bats and how they survived. Couldn't go out in them. They were too old, but Mr. Putter might slip and break something. Tubby might catch a bat. First, Mr. Putter loved music. He really wanted to join the band. Miss Teaberry loved music too. She also...
So at the end of the year, you have this collection of material from the beginning of the year, and you can see the development your child had throughout the year regarding their reading skills and all that. So it's a very powerful tool. In some instances, they can comment on each other's work. The teacher can comment. It's very powerful in that sense. So now that we're talking about applications and platforms, let me... Oh, wait, yeah, forgot about databases. Databases, all these, we curate also these platforms that students can use for research. So we have platforms like Pebble Go, like World Book Online, so they can go to these databases before they go to Google or YouTube, for instance. This is very important. In some instances, we have to be honest, going to Google and going to YouTube is inevitable, right? But when you're teaching all these digital citizenships lessons, and when they know how to behave online, it's less of a risk. But the first stop for our lower school students are all these databases. We have these well-curated databases that they can access here at school with no password, no links, and from home with passwords, with username and passwords that the students have. And yeah, now that we're talking about applications and online platforms, we have implemented a firewall, which is this protective wall where we filter content. We have all these educators bringing all these interesting initiatives, these apps, these programs into the classroom. We're trying to make all these other processes like grading and class pages more effective. So we are interacting much more online. So we have to have implemented a robust content filtering platform, and this is Sonic Wall. Sonic Wall blocks malware, intrusion, and unproductive applications and ads. So we are able to empower our faculty and students to use more effectively, perhaps, the internet and the digital tools they have available. This is the stuff that we block. And also, I want to make sure that we understand that because of the dynamic nature of the internet, is this like ever-morphing thing, the internet, we cannot capture everything, we cannot filter everything. There are instances where you have the picture of a gun with the Dora the Explorer label, right? So someone has a picture with and gives it a different name, so it doesn't pass like precisely through the filters, doesn't get sort of like captured by the filters. So in those instances, we have to be reactive. We have to take all those links and block them manually. So in some cases we are proactive, some cases we have to be reactive and approach all these things as they appear in our way. Let's continue our journey with first grade. We sort of like present all these new media tools. We work with video to develop interesting projects. So in this case, they are using the green screen, and they are using the green screen to produce their book review. So the students read a book, they write a review, they practice their reading, and then they sit in front of the green screen, in front of the camera, not in front of the, yeah, in front of the green screen, in front of the camera, and then we record the video, and we produce things like this.
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
Legend of Rock, Paper, Scissors. Cut, snip, cover. Nice game. Yeah. Hello, my name is Palmer. Do you like playing rock, paper, scissors? Do you wish there was a book about rock, paper, scissors? Then this book.
Yeah. So students in the lower school are coding with Ms. Walber regularly. They code using iPads, computers, and this year we introduce physical computing. Physical computing is the ability the students have to code and program physical objects like the Lego WeDo that Stella has here on the right. Our mission is to show our students that you can code the objects that are around us, the projector, the fridge. All those things have code inside. It's not just you sitting in front of the computer coding one character moving from the left part of the screen to the right. This is what we're trying to promote. This, of course, develops and takes a different form in the upper school, but this is where everything starts. Actually starts at the CEC, but here's where we approach coding more formally. We have coding classes, and we learn coding concepts like loops, conditionals, and all those things. We celebrate, of course, the Hour of Code, and this happens in December. For 1 week, we bring coding to our hallways. We have these very engaging activities, and we code, as I said before, stuff. We program robots, we program small microcomputers, and we celebrate coding. Our lower school students have access to platforms like Google Suite, Google Drive, Google Documents, and a very common misconception is that students learn in third grade or second grade to type or to use these platforms, and the truth is that they learn all the way to 12th grade. It never happens in one grade. It's something that develops incrementally, and that's how we approach it, and we support it. Some students learn faster, some others have more exposure to technology at home, but we are aware that this is a long process, especially typing skills. They start in second grade, third grade, but they don't develop fully probably until they reach the upper grades in the high school. How many of you have heard of the power of music? We know that music is good for everything, for health, for relaxation and all that, but it's also good for learning world languages.
Me gusta viajar en barco, en elefante, en tren.
So all these catchy songs support learning of new vocabulary and expressions and things like that. Grade 5, with grade 5 this year we explore new ways of presenting data and research. This is a multimedia project called Story Maps, where they can collect videos, photos, sound clips, and incorporate those different media types, these different types of media. They incorporate it into a map, so they can sort of like show exactly where things are happening. This particular work is about human rights in Venezuela, and you can actually see the places where all these issues are happening. So it uses multimedia and JavaScript sort of like to present and to put things more into context. We're using technology to visualize things that were very difficult to visualize in the past. These are hours of video, like sped up, and we put together all these interesting videos for students to be able to see the things that happen when they are not at school. And something interesting here with the grade 5s, we have the camera, so it's not just we're not just putting an iPad in front of the eggs or in front of our gardens. We actually build the cameras. This is a microcomputer. We got the cameras. And with the 5th graders, we wrote the code. These 6 or 7 lines of code are basically code telling the camera to capture an image for an image every hour and upload it to Dropbox. And from those images, we create the videos that you saw before. So we want them to be creators. We want them to be developers. We use augmented reality to learn the circulatory system. And in this case, this particular activity brings the excitement, the level of excitement in the classroom to a different level. Kids are engaged, are happy to be there. They are very interested in what's going to happen next. So we use these tools as when we introduce new topics. For instance, we want them to be more open to what's going to happen next in their lesson. Now, moving to the upper school, you're going to see how all that starts to make sense. All these different attributes that we've been talking about start to sort of like to blossom, to gel, and we see how the personalities now have all these attributes incorporated in, and the students start doing things like this. You can see how they can start choosing different paths, right? You have students that are more interested in digital music, students that are more interested in photography or in coding. They have all these wonderful opportunities in the upper school, and they have teachers that support them in multiple ways, as mentors, as active members of clubs. We have, for instance, here we have Chihan, Griffin, and Shoye. They designed, built, and programmed their robots, and they took it to all these interesting competitions. And these are the attributes that we want to see in our students. And this is this for instance is this is a student-led club, which it's amazing if you ask me. All these attributes are pretty well represented in these 3 students. We have platforms like Unified Classroom that help teachers and students have access to all the tools they require to succeed academically. They have all content, assignments, activities, announcements. They have calendars and all that. Yeah, we know that the platform is developing, but we are offering students and teachers full support to address issues that may appear. Again, like we have in the lower school, we have curated databases that the students can access here at school. When they are at school, the databases recognize their location, so they don't need passwords or anything. When they go home, they just need usernames and passwords that are given by the librarians to our students. We have free access to all the Google applications, Microsoft applications, and Adobe Creative Cloud. So if you're learning digital photography, if you're learning creative graphic design, you have access to all these amazing platforms for free, regardless of the platform you're using. If you're using a Macintosh computer, if you're using a Windows computer. This is, when I spoke about dedicated technology instruction, this is an example. Middle school students have dedicated technology instructions where they learn about coding, 3D design, they keep on learning about digital citizenship, and the natural evolution of these classes are 3D printing and all that, but we want them first to be creators. Before we print, we want them to know how to design and use all these platforms. This is an example of an 8th grader, which is pretty amazing. She's using Tinkercad for this assignment. Tinkercad is a 3D design platform. For those students that want more in-depth computational thinking, they want to learn more advanced coding, and they want to learn more about data simulation and all those things, we have the computer science courses, which are pretty advanced, as Maria showed before. They are very advanced courses. We use technology in our IB film classes, for instance. This is an example of Alexandria Williams. She had to write a film analysis. She did the research, she wrote her paper, but then she had to present it as a documentary, and this is what she did.
The auteur theory is a theory of filmmaking in which the director is viewed as the major creative force in a motion picture. In other words, the director is the author of the film. This means that they are in control of the entire film, not just the script and the vision. Most often, auteur directors have a very distinct style of filmmaking that is seen throughout each of their films, and as such, their films have a sort of fingerprint that is specific to them.
Let me briefly explain how this happened. The class doesn't teach how to create documentaries. It's how to analyze them and how they study film. So students go and find whichever tool they have available. Some students have a Mac computer, they use iMovie, some of others have Windows computers, so they use different platforms. So Alexandra, for instance, used Adobe Rush because she had a different computer. She actually learned the platform by doing this project. So I find that pretty amazing how they adapt. And that particular aspect supports the fact that embedded technology could be powerful, because in some instances you may learn iMovie, but what happens if you find a Windows computer on your path? So that's the mentality that we are trying to promote. Of course, we have digital photography classes. This is amazing. They learn photography concepts, equipment, and techniques. And because there's no big or small application of technology, this is happening right now in the upper school at the gallery. How do we call this? Exactly. So we have the art show, right? It's an art exhibition, and some students have chosen to use QR codes to explain, not to explain, maybe to present the work behind their pieces.
I chose the vase as my featured piece because I feel that it holds the most interesting and well-executed form of any of the projects I've completed in this class thus far. The piece's success is derived from its unique form, which I created specifically.
So how cool is that? You're looking at this piece, and you can actually scan that code with your phone, and you can, did I say code with your phone, and then you can listen to the artist presenting the work behind that piece. I find that really interesting, and that's an effective use of technology, if you ask me. Right, we wouldn't be able to do all these amazing things without the support of the technology department and the administrators who put in place all these responsible use policies, of course. Credit to all these people that work hard in facilitating, in contributing to help our students and teachers. And yeah, if we talk about the future, there is always growth. That's what we're looking for. We want to advance. We want to keep on improving. We listen to what parents, students, and teachers, administrators have to say, and we try to make the right decisions. Next year is going to be exciting. We're bringing new technology. We're bringing laser cutters and engravers to the lower school and upper school. These are going to be an important part of the art departments. They are going to be here at the woodwork, how do we call it, the shop, right? This is going to be part of the art program, and also in the upper school and the design classes. I know that students are designing soaps and packages and all that, and this technology is going to support that. We are updating our 3D printers, and this is great news because it's the following steps. We are helping them become great designers, but we want them to have access to state-of-the-art technology as well. We're incorporating a new teacher to our team. Sue is an Olympian, and I think that's pretty cool. The determination and the passion, the discipline that you have to become an Olympian are like outstanding, and people like maybe don't understand that, but to me it's an honor to work with her. I learned tremendously, so many things from her, and of course we're looking forward to bring her to the lower school and to the middle school, and she's going to be also contributing in the upper school. And that's it for me. I think I went a little bit longer. Thank you.
You can hear, first of all, the passion that Daniel has for this and how he has pushed all of us, including teachers, to try to think differently, that it's about the thinking and the learning. It's not just about the technology, and I think that his approach, along with Hassan and the rest of the technology team, is really moving us in the right direction. Again, we're thinking about future prepared. We want innovators, we want thinkers. It's not, the kids know how to use the technology, it's what they're doing with that and how they're navigating it and what they're using it for, how it's purposeful. So thank you, Daniel. You can ask some questions in a minute. I'm just going to bring up Pilar to just talk briefly about the LCA, and then anyone who has questions will also open it up.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to take a couple of seconds because I know we've been here for a while, and it's hard to believe that it's almost the end of the school year. It flew by. But now is the time for elections for the LCA, and we're looking for 5 new people, for the 5 new board members. So please, if you know anybody that you think would be a good board member, that is hardworking, that works nicely, plays well with others, and and that has great ideas, and that loves the school as much as I do, I'd ask you all to nominate, if even the teachers and the faculty, if you know somebody that you think would be great to work with or great for the school. We're taking nominations now, from now till May 28th. At May 28th, we're going to present the candidates to all of you. We need their bios and their photos, and we're going to have an open meeting where they can all state to the public why they believe that they should be voted or elected, and then we'll have the elections with the announcement on June 4th. So please, if you're interested, come find me. Pilar Douglas at AOL, Pilar Douglas at Yahoo, Pilar Douglas at Gmail, Pilar Douglas at iCloud.com. You can find me, or just ask around. I'm in the hallways someplace. All right? Thank you.
Rosie just shared some flyers that will be around the school, which has the simple steps for what you need to do if you want to offer someone up or yourself up, what needs to be done. It's simple, it's clear. You'll see that hung around. I think it was sent out also. So I know it's gone long this morning. I appreciate you sticking around, but certainly open to any questions that anyone may have about anything here at Léman.
Was amazing. It was a little long, but I think the fact that the use of technology in the school has become so meaningful and sort of just really part of the learning process differentiates us from a lot of other places where it's about putting in expensive computers and hardware and not really, integrating it well into the curriculum. So thank you very much for that.
And I think what he did really well is he spent the time at the beginning and years looking at what we had, visiting other schools, seeing what best practices. He came with a lot of that knowledge, and that's why I think his presentation at the NICES conference, which is for all the independent schools in New York City, is so powerful because, the thinking that he's pushed us to do is really more innovative than the technology itself. So it's exciting. I agree with you. Other questions? Thoughts? Go for it.
Any update on the North Anglia connection?
All is still the same. Léman is still owned by the same investment organization that it always has been. Mac is still the CEO here, and certainly from my understanding and talking with Mac on a regular basis, that will continue for the next few years. I don't think there'll be any change over the next few years, and when and if there is. As you know, again, North Anglia has a very small percentage here of the school. It has no impact on the running of the school or the daily instructional program here at the school. We do have some of the opportunities like global games and some of the PD that they offer, but it's still status quo. Any other questions? Well, we're excited to continue to grow and learn. We're looking to we're probably bringing in about 200 new students next year, which will mean about 100 more students, because with the graduating class and bringing in new students and whatnot, we'll certainly be around 950 students next year, so getting closer to 1,000 students, which is why some of the additions of the administrative team, we have been hiring, we're already in the process, we've hired many teachers already for next year to accommodate the number of kids that we're getting. We've hired some amazing teachers, again, from a variety of backgrounds and areas of expertise that will be shared as the summer months approach. So we're excited about that as we continue to grow and learn. It takes all of us, parents, students, and staff. So thank you for taking the time to come. I don't know if there were any questions that you need to address from the outside. One. Go ahead.
That's right. Oh, my thing. Yes, well, actually, we added offerings for fine arts.
The arts program will be adding more arts offerings, whether it's in theater, music, performances.
Right. So we actually offered some new ones this year, including digital photography, which you saw some samples of, thanks to Daniel's presentation. And that was something that we felt was lacking in our curriculum when we looked at it, and we wanted to start to move in more digital ways and arts. So we are going to take that a step further next year and offer digital photography too, because now there were 4 sections of digital photography this year in the first year, which surprised us. We expected maybe 1 or 2, and we actually had 4 full sections. So now those students that have taken that want another level. So we're going to take that to a second level. We also are offering, we're really excited about a new course, yet unnamed, but it's going to be mostly art history with some art making, and it's going to be a great preparation course for the IB course. So what we did was, every year we, like most departments do, we analyze our course offerings, and we're noticing, in IB students, what are things that maybe we need to do a better job of, and we noticed that art history component was one of them. So what's really great and I think innovative about this class is that it's thematic. And we're considering calling it thematic art, but we'll have to see. But it is going to take some like global world topics and investigating them through art from, let's say, an art master to contemporary artists with art making in each unit. So the teachers that are developing that currently are Celine Lahert and Sam Berman, and Sam Berman will be teaching it next year. And we are liking it so much that it might be a future model for other classes such as theater, such as music, but we're going to try that out next year.
And I think you continue to look for ways for students to perform, whether it's in our community or outside of our community. There's many more students participating in competitions around the city than ever before, and that will continue to grow. We're looking at adding another play. It's also a budgetary item, so that will be determined over this next couple of weeks here about doing another we do the one-act play right now and musical, and looking to do possibly a fall play. So there is always continued growth in all of those areas. Any others? Well, we know we've kept you a long time. We'll be here if you have any individual questions. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Daniel, for presenting, and have a great day and weekend. Thank you.